What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Unscripted. I'm going to be your host and producer, as always, Logan Landers. And joining me to do some recaps of the NFL in the past week, as always, Jay McLevin.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me, Logan. Hey, by the way, the Cowboys, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But just the fact that we beat New England, I just love it every day.
Thanks, Jay. Feel fuzzy on the inside.
Oh, just warm and fuzzy.
And down below him, Dustin Reese, our resident stat guy. What's up, man?
We're not the worst team. We're not the worst team.
Yeah. There you go. You can hang your hat on that, my friend. Picked up the first W. And we'll be talking about the worst team in our main event, we'll say. Last game we're talking about. Hey, if you guys enjoy the episode today, once again, like, comment, share, subscribe on all of our social media platforms. You can see where's it at? Right here. Facebook, Unscripted Guys on X, TikTok, YouTube and Twitch, all those links there. Check us out. But best way to find it is our link tree, description of all of our episodes. But as you just saw a little sneak peek, this is our second episode now under our Elite Sports and Entertainment Network brand, ESEN, because we ain't trying to get sued. Check us out. Sports is going to be our main hub. Don't worry. Unscripted ain't going nowhere. But we're going to be adding some more shows under this brand. In the very near future. We'll give you obviously more details on our social media platforms when we get there. Like I said, not just sports, we're doing music, movies, any other pop culture stuff, or really anything we just kind of feel like, just so we can branch out a little bit and give our thoughts on some other topics throughout the world. Very excited to get into this with, of course, with Jay, Frankie, who's not here, Dustin, Oz, and a bunch of other guys we're bringing along that you're going to have to wait and see, but it's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun, and we are looking forward to it. But with that being said, let's get into our recaps of NFL week number 4. It is in the books. Moving on now to week 5. First game up here. We are going to be recapping the Bills and the Dolphins. Of course, we know how that one went. But, hey, Jay, give your thoughts on the Bills getting the dominating win over the Dolphins, 48-20.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm surprised by this. I think this is the one I definitely predicted wrong. In this, I actually had the Dolphins beating the Bills. Of course, that clearly is not how it went. It was Buffalo getting the win 48-20. And the fact that they beat them by 28 points, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, how the heck did how did I go so far left on this? But, Miami was really making a convincing argument for a hot minute that they were the best team out there in the East. And clearly, Buffalo said, not yet. And not only did they say not yet, but they had to rub it in my face just how much that they are still the team in the East to beat. There is nobody better than Buffalo at this point in the East. Tua, his game was okay. It wasn't what I was expecting it to be. Waddle was back in the lineup, so there's really no excuse for why it wasn't better than what it was. He went 282, 1-1, but he took 4 sacks. Now, I will say this. If there was one improvement in Miami, is that Tua didn't get a concussion and he learned how to take a fall. So I guess those jiu-jitsu lessons are really helping out over there for the Dolphins. But again, when you got a guy giving you 3, 20, and 4 touchdowns for the other team in Allen, it really is kind of hard. Now, I will say, Logan, you did good picking up Acne, if that's how you say his name, Ashney or whatever. The guy gave you 101 on 8 carries. I mean, the dude was blowing up for 2 touchdowns. I mean, honestly, that was probably one of the biggest bright spots over there in Miami, to be honest with you. Diggs, the dude had six catches, 120 and 3 touchdowns. Stephon is still Stephon. The dude is still producing. Gabe Williams came behind that for like another 60-plus yards. But honestly, it was the Diggs show for Buffalo, and it definitely was Allen getting him the ball. Three out of those touchdowns came from that. The Bills' defense, they gave you 4 sacks and an interception. I mean, the Bills are just, just when you think that defense is taking some hits, because they haven't had Von Miller because he's still out with, whatever's, and you just kind of think that maybe they're just kind of, sliding down that totem pole a little bit. Miami was going to take over. No, not so fast. Not so fast. Again, you just can't look away from what Miami has done at this point. It's just stupid to me. The Bills' running game was horrible. James Cook is my guy. He didn't get as much as I was hoping he would. At the end of the day, though, it really doesn't matter, man. At the end of the day, Latavius Murray was a leading rusher for Buffalo. And if it tells you that he had 4 carries for 32 yards and he was a leading rusher, that's just how bad that Buffalo run game was. But when you got Stephon Diggs doing what Stephon Diggs does, who really gives a dang? I cleaned it up for you, Logan.
You did.
Dang. So, yeah, that's my recap of Miami. I still think they're not out of it. I still think that they're going to be in the playoffs at some level. But right now, man, and barring injuries, and I said that, barring injuries, knock on some glass, whatever you got, it's still Buffalo's show.
Well, Jay, there was injuries, as you know, Tre'Davious White, so he should have knocked on that one a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tre'Davious. My bad.
Oh,
well, my bad.
Dustin, what was your thoughts on the Bills getting the win?
I mean, I did pick Miami to win, but I'm not surprised Buffalo did win because these two split last year, and then they met in the playoffs, and Miami gave them all they could handle until Buffalo pulled away late. I'm just more so surprised at the score, as I think everyone else is kind of surprised by that score too, as this was more of a statement win for Buffalo to show that when they're right, they still are going to be one of the favorites to win that AFC. And not just the AFC East, but the AFC in general. I'm not as far kind of off the ledge as Jay is on the Dolphins because I still think the Dolphins are the team to beat in the AFC top to bottom. I just think this was kind of that wake-up call that they needed because you see it every year. Every year, the team that wins the Super Bowl either has a loss that they should not lose as their wake-up call, or they have a game where they get their doors blown off them as kind of their wake-up call to kind of regain that focus. And coming off of such a good game against Denver, granted Denver's defense is terrible, everyone knew Miami wasn't going to score 70 points again. So it was a matter of how many points were they going to score. Yes, I think a lot of people expected them to score more than 20, but it was still kind of that wake-up call that the Dolphins need because as good as Buffalo played on Sunday, the one thing that they do struggle with is a pass rush. And if you can kind of pressure Josh Allen and get him kind of off his feet a little bit, he does make a lot of stupid mistakes. And the Jets showed that in their Monday night game when they gave Buffalo that loss in week 1. They pressured Josh Allen. They got him kind of running for his life a little bit, and he made a lot of stupid decisions. And I think that's ultimately what's going to come down to haunt Buffalo later in the year is because when Josh Allen is good, he's a top 3 quarterback. But when he's bad, he's mediocre at best just because he makes a lot of those dumb decisions that you don't expect a quarterback of his caliber to make. I would say these are 2 of the 3 favorites to come out of the AFC at this point. I'm still putting Miami slightly ahead of them just because of the whole speed factor of that offense, knowing that the 6 fastest sprint times in the NFL this year have all come from that offense, and there's not a team in the NFL that has enough speed to contend with them if you give those guys space.
All right, well said. Yeah, like I said, Dolphins, I was surprised. Like I said, this game was really a toss-up, but I thought it was going to be a little bit closer. I really did. But it is what it is. That's the way the game goes. Jay, we'll let you kick things off with this one. I know you got some thoughts about the dominating win and the bragging rights you have, the gloating you have over our boy Frankie. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah. This game really is let's just say what it is, man. Yeah. In your face, Frankie. I love you, my boy, my blue-boo. But in your face, because Frankie was out there saying to me, Jay, and Logan, he said the group chat, so I know you're privy to this information. He was talking about Ezekiel Elliott was going to come over there, and he was going to do some damage on the Cowboys, and he was going to make us regret letting them go. Logan, do you know how many yards Ezekiel Elliott put up rushing? Go ahead and tell me.
I do not, but I know you do.
No, it's okay. I'll help you then. 16, Logan. 16 yards. That's what he put on the Cowboys.
Wow.
And yeah, that's how. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna move on from that. But I just wanted to say, Frankie was showing me that the Patriots are gonna come over there. We're gonna do some damage. We're gonna take care of you. And Ezekiel Elliott's gonna do a number on the Cowboys. Well, 38-3 was hardly doing anything to the Cowboys. 16 yards is hardly doing anything to the Cowboys. Now, again, I want you guys to understand, and Logan, I've said this many times before, Dustin, I know you've heard me say it many times before, I'm not on that bandwagon. We're going to the Super Bowl, but I am on the bandwagon that says we will beat the freaking Patriots. I am on that bandwagon. We're not so far down that we can't beat the Patriots, for crying out loud. It's the first time, I think, in my pine, is it the first time to find a new Q? Or that's what I'm trying to say. My handwriting stuff. Is it time to find a new QB for New England? Is Mac Jones the guy? Is he really the guy that could take this team somewhere? Because let's be honest, it took Tom Brady to make this damn team. It sure as hell wasn't Bill Belichick. Even though Bill Belichick is a great coach and gets the most out of nothing, we all know that Bill Belichick has gotten the most out of nothing. But we also know that Tom Brady was a catalyst that got them all those damn rings. It sure as hell wasn't Bill Belichick, because we knew that from when he went to Tampa, and he got another ring with the Tampa organization. And Bill Belichick is still trying to figure out who the damn offensive coordinator is. I think he figured out maybe it's Bill O'Brien. We don't know 100%. But I don't think that Mac Jones, I think he's a game-managing quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be the guy that can get Bill Belichick another ring. So, again, I asked the question, is it time to look for a new quarterback in New England? And if not now, then when?
Interesting question, Jay. We'll have to do that one for a future episode, I think.
I'm just saying.
As the season go along, we'll see.
Yeah. Dak did what I wanted him to do. Just don't throw a damn interception. He didn't do it. He went 28-34, 261 and a touch. And okay, I'm good with that.
Hey, he
quarterback.
Did so.
What I want to point out is two things, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna wrap it up on two things. Number one, I told you when Trayvon Diggs went down, Bland was going to be the guy that could step up and fill those shoes. And not only did he fill them, but he gave you 2 interceptions, one of which resulted in a pick 6. Van Der Esch picked up the fumble right there about the 10 or 15-yard line, runs it in for a touchdown. This Cowboys defense is who I thought they were. They are the catalyst that makes the Cowboys go. The offense is still the weakness of this team. Dak, play calling McCarthy. That's more specific on where the problem with the offense is. But I will say this. The Cowboys defense is back to where we know they are, and they are the best defense, or one of the best defenses in the NFL.
Dustin, your thoughts?
Remember what I said about the Dolphins and kind of having that wake-up game against Buffalo?
Uh-huh.
You can say the same thing about the Cardinals for the Cowboys. That was their wake-up game for them to get back on track, and then they got back on track this week and handed Bill Belichick the worst loss he's ever suffered as a head coach. Think about that for a minute and how long Bill Belichick has been a head coach. And the quarterbacks that he's had, Brian Hoyer, Matt Castle, and some of these other guys that he's had to use when Tom Brady was hurt and some of these other guys were hurt, and he still never lost by more than 35 points until this weekend. To answer your question, Jay, I said it last year. I thought Bailey Zappi was the guy for the Patriots last year when they started winning with Bailey Zappi. I don't know why the Patriots went back to Mac Jones last year, even after that ankle was healthy, because the team did play better with Bailey Zappi last year. And I think if Mac Jones continues to struggle this year, they will commit to Bailey Zappi again. And I don't think they would go back to Mac Jones at that point. I think they would ride out Bailey Zappi the rest of this year to see how it goes. In terms of who would be the answer at quarterback for the future, Logan, you said it on the last episode that we ran through. Patriots could trade for Justin Fields. And I think Justin Fields would be a very nice fit in that New England system with Bill O'Brien, who's had experience as a college-level offensive coordinator that knows what it takes to build an offense around a specific player. He did it with Tua at Alabama. He did it with Mac Jones at Alabama. He did it with a lot of these quarterbacks in Alabama that he's kind of developed the college-level offense around, and Justin Fields is going to have more talent than what Mac Jones has because of the running ability. And Bill Belichick is not going to have any of his coordinators put Fields in a position to fail. He will only put Fields in a position to succeed, so I would not be surprised to see the Bears and the Patriots potentially work a Justin Fields trade next offseason if things don't pan out this year with Mac Jones or Zappi.
Interesting. Thoughts on this one? Thought it was going to be closer. My God, who thought it would have been a blowout, except for Jay? But no, I thought this was going to be a lot closer than it was. But obviously, we've been saying that Cowboys needed a wake-up call. They did the previous week against the Cardinals. They came back, righted the ship, and got the dominating win against Frankie and the Patriots. And now, Jay, you got bragging rights for quite some time, my friend. All right, this was a game the other night. Giants and Seahawks. Seahawks, their defense was so good. 10 sacks on Daniel Jones, also picked him off 2 times. Dustin, what was your initial thoughts on this one and the Giants just continuing to crumble?
Well, I think the Giants are having buyer's remorse right now in Daniel Jones. I think they kind of realize that.
No, you don't say.
I think they kind of realized that, yes, Daniel Jones played well at times last year, but the main reason why that team was successful last year was because of Saquon Barkley. And now that Barkley's not playing, you can really see how useless Daniel Jones is if you don't have Barkley. And remember, Saquon Barkley's only on a 1-year deal. If he decides he doesn't want to come back to the Giants next year because either A, they're not winning, or B, he's not happy with the whole contract situation and how it played out, this is the kind of performance you can expect with Daniel Jones without Saquon helping him out. This is kind of why a lot of people felt that Saquon should have gotten the long-term deal over Daniel Jones, franchise tag Daniel Jones to see if he can duplicate the same success that he had last year again this year, and then figure it out after that, because now you have a guy in Daniel Jones locked up for another 3 years. You may not have Saquon after this year, because what is the benefit of him staying in New York other than the money if that team's not going anywhere? He has no benefit, especially with the injury history that he has. He has no benefit to stay there if he's not going to go anywhere. He's going to want to go somewhere that gives him an opportunity to get a ring. Seattle's defense, like you said, was very good last night. Seattle's defense, I think, has actually been one of the more underrated units so far through 4 weeks of the NFL, because their defense has actually been pretty impressive outside of week 1. It's been a pretty good unit start to finish. The big question now is how hurt is Geno Smith? I mean, you saw Drew Lock come in, and Drew Lock did not look great last night, but by the time he came in, that game was pretty much in the hands of Seattle anyway, so they really didn't need much from him as it was. But Geno Smith has really kind of turned his career around with Seattle, and I'm just curious if he can't go next week, or if he can't go for a couple weeks, how much of the hit does the Seattle offense take if they have to stick with Drew Lock?
Good point. Jay, your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts are 2 numbers, 24 and 36.
All right, what are those?
So it took 24 minutes of offense to score 24 points. That's 1 point for every minute they were on the field. 36 was the number of minutes the defense was on the field. At 36 minutes, it took to take Daniel Jones down 10 times. They took him down 10 times. They sacked his butt. You like the word butt? They sacked his butt 10 times at 36 minutes. I mean, what more do you want to say? The dude had 2 interceptions. Daniel Jones was their leading runner. Brady couldn't do nothing. Nobody could do nothing. 36 minutes of defense. 10 sacks in 36 minutes. 24 minutes of offense is all it took. 1 point for every minute to beat the crap out of New York and make Dable hate every single minute that he even thought to give Daniel Jones an opportunity or a look to see if he wanted to keep him as quarterback. And I think the answer has been answered. The problem is now, like that guy said, you're locked up. What the hell are you going to do? Mm-hmm. Maybe you should have stayed in Buffalo or went to a different team to be a head coach.
All I'm going to say is, Jay, I know whenever the Raiders traded Darren Waller this offseason, and everyone was saying, oh, and what, they got nothing for him. Well, he ain't really done a whole lot, whether that be on his end or with Daniel Jones in the offense. On the year so far, 15 grabs, Jay, for 153 yards. That's it. That's it through 4 games. Yeah, this Giants team is not looking good. Not at all. I think we figured out that Saquon Barkley probably should have got that money. I get he ain't playing. I get he's not playing.
Absolutely.
But he's looked so much better than anyone else on that field through the first 4 weeks. And that is without question. Yeah, this Giants team, my gosh, they are rough. If it wasn't for the Bears, which we're about to get
The Bears.
See, I like that segue there, Jay. For the Bears.
That was a great
we'd
segment.
be talking about the Giants and the Jets a lot more. But here we are with the Bears. Broncos, Bears. Dustin, you requested this one to be the final one that we speak about today, so I'll let you go and get things off your chest.
These are the two worst teams in the NFL, and it's not even close.
That's
Carolina is also winless, but at least Carolina has been in most of their games and have at least shown a little bit of promise on the defensive side. Outside of Justin Fields starting the game 16 of 16, starting the game 23 of 24 before going to the Justin Fields that we know and love the final quarter, turning it over twice in the final 3 minutes of the game. What is there to look forward to in Chicago and Denver right now? You have a Broncos defense. You have a Broncos defense who's given up 98 points the last 2 weeks. 98. They gave up 28 this week and obviously 70 last week. They already have almost given up 200 points in 4 games, and they're on pace to shatter the worst defense in NFL history by at least 200 points. Their defense is so beyond atrocious, and the sad part is Vance Joseph is the defensive coordinator, and he's historically been a very good defensive coordinator, so that just goes to show you how much mess that team is right now to not have a defense with a great defensive coordinator and an offense that, yes, they look good against Chicago, but that's not saying much because the Bears' defense is ranked 31st and Denver's defense is ranked 32nd. So you had the 2 worst defenses on the field this past Sunday. There's a reason why they're the 2 worst defenses. One defense lets Justin Fields throw for 335 yards with 4 touchdowns, something he's never done before. The other defense blows a 28-7 lead in 10 minutes. That just goes to show you how bad these teams are, how bad these defenses are. These teams are both going to pick in the top 5 in the draft next year. You're going to have the Denver Broncos faced with a situation with Sean Payton now. Do they keep Russell Wilson long term? Because they locked him up for 5 years? I think they locked him up after they traded for him. He's there for another 3 years. Is he your answer at quarterback, or are you going to have to find a trade partner to take him next year? And then same thing that with the Bears. I don't see Justin Fields lasting beyond this year in Chicago, especially if the Bears are picking number 1 and number 2. Go get Caleb Williams. Go get Marvin Harrison Jr. and make those your number 1 and number 2 picks. You drastically changed your offense. You drastically improved your offense because you're getting a quarterback that is actually known as a pocket passer and is comfortable being a pocket passer. But then you need to go and get a new head coach with that, because no matter who you draft, if you bring him into this situation, if you bring him into this franchise, they're going to be ruined because nobody knows what the hell they are doing in this franchise right now.
All right. Harsh words, but I think well-received criticism. Jay, what are your thoughts on this? This is a game.
Yeah, I know we got to make this quick, so I'm going to make 3 simple points about this Bears-Bronco debacle. And, yeah, the Broncos took it 31-28. Wilson, not bad against a terrible defense, 21-28. Pretty good pass completion rate there, 223 yards, 3 touchdowns. You only took 1 sack. So, Wilson, against a crappy defense, you did good. Fields, on the other hand, not so good. 28-35, great pass completion for 335, great yardage against a decent, okay defense. 4 touchdowns, that's great. But what was the difference maker in this game? Is it the fact that the Broncos are a little bit better than the Bears? Or is it the fact that Fields is a freaking bust? And I'm going to say that with this. Fields lost this game for Denver. It wasn't the coaching.
It was.
It wasn't no coaching. It wasn't anything out there on that damn field. This is why I told you in another show that Stroud and Bryce Young are playing better than Fields. And this is why I say Fields is a bust. 1 fumble is a score. 1 interception was a score. Fields single-handedly killed the Bears. The Bears.
And I agree, because it's like he has the best game he has for 3 quarters. Yep. And then all of a sudden the fourth quarter comes, and he looks like the Fields that we know for 23 starts. That sack that he took, you don't stick the ball out when a guy's tackling you. You tuck it and roll with it. Yeah. And then the interception he threw to end the game. Granted, yes, the guy that intercepted it was a 35-year-old 5'10" safety, and he intercepted it off of a guy that's 6'6", 240. So maybe Cole Kmet could have did a better job kind of going after the ball. Well, you still.
So maybe that's Fields' ball placement.
That's what I was going to say. You still threw the ball where a 5'10" guy was going.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the hell do you think is going to happen?
You know?
Oh,
You know?
and I think y'all brought up a good point. If they would have won this game, we would have said this was the best game of Justin Fields' career.
And
He would have done a good job.
It still was, but everyone's still going to look at those final 2 drives that he had.
Yep.
A fumble resulting in a game-tying touchdown
Yep.
and an interception to end the game. And it's still going to be like, oh, that's the same old Justin Fields, which maybe it is. But that's on him. That's not on the coaches, like Jay said. Any quarterback in the NFL that can read a defense knows that if you have a single high safety, you do not throw the ball over the middle to the tight end because that single high safety is basically blanketing the middle of the field for whoever goes over there. He's staring.
Dustin, are you telling me? I want to make sure I understand what you're saying correctly. What I'm taking away from this, what you just said, the last couple of seconds, Fields can't read a defense.
He can't, and he never could. And you see
correct me if I'm wrong. One of the best things about a quarterback is being able to read defenses and being able to audible to something else or make a different pass or a different throw, or don't put it down where a 5'10" guy is when you got a 6'2" receiver.
Yeah,
that is a crucial point.
Patrick Mahomes is the key person when it comes to reading a defense. He admitted that the first 2 years in the NFL, he did not know how to read a defense. But what made him so much more special than some of these other guys, even though he couldn't read a defense, he knew that if route A is not open, if route B is not open, and route C is not open, I have the legs where I can tuck it and run. Justin Fields has the legs where he can tuck it and run on 3rd down and pick up a 1st down. But for whatever reason, he zeroes in on one person and will throw it to that person he zeroes in on. He doesn't go through his reads. And if he does go through the reads that he has and he doesn't see anybody open, he panics and he takes the sack instead of trying to make something happen with his legs.
Well said. Well said. Well, guys, that has been our Week 4 NFL recaps. Week 5 previews coming up very soon. We just did our Thursday night preview. Go check that one out. Rest of the games as well as college coming up very soon. And also we're going to be talking some baseball here in the next few days, talking about wild card, who's in, who's out. It's going to be fun. Of course, always a pleasure talking to sports with you, Jay, and, of course, you, Dustin, as well. I've been your host, producer, Logan Landis. Enjoy the rest of your nights, everyone. And we'll talk to you again on another live episode of Unscripted.